Daniel was a good man. He served King Darius in Babylon. He was wise and faithful. This made him important to the king, but it also made other officials jealous. They wanted Daniel's position. They wanted him gone, but they couldn't find any fault in him. Daniel was a man of integrity. He was devoted to God above all else. The jealous officials knew about Daniel's faith. They had observed him for a long time, noting his unwavering devotion to his God. Daniel was a man of integrity, and his faith was the cornerstone of his life. This made him stand out among the other officials, and it also made him a target. He prayed to God 3 times a day without fail. Morning, noon, and night, Daniel would kneel and offer his prayers. This routine was well known, and it was something the officials could exploit. They saw an opportunity to bring him down, to tarnish his reputation and remove him from his position of influence. A wicked plan began to form in their minds. They gathered in secret, away from prying eyes, to discuss how they could use Daniel's faith against him. They knew that his devotion was his greatest strength, but they also saw it as his greatest vulnerability. They decided to use Daniel's devotion against him. They would create a situation where his faith would be his downfall. It was a cunning plan, one that required careful execution and the cooperation of the highest authority in the land.
Let's use his faith against him. We can turn his strength into his weakness. If we can make his prayers illegal, we can trap him.
Yes, let's suggest a new law to the king. A law that will make it impossible for Daniel to continue his prayers without breaking it. We need to make it seem like it's for the good of the kingdom.
They went to King Darius. They flattered him with words of praise, telling him how great and wise he was. They knew that appealing to his ego would make him more likely to agree to their plan. They suggested a new law, a law that would decree that for 30 days no one could pray to any god or man except the king himself. It was a law designed to elevate the king's status and to trap Daniel.
For 30 days, no one could pray to any god or man except you, O king. This law will show the people your power and authority. It will unite the kingdom under your rule.
Anyone who disobeys this law, anyone who dares to pray to another god or man, should be thrown into the lion's den. This will serve as a warning to others and ensure that everyone follows the law. The lion's den was a place of fear and death. It was a dark cave where lions were kept, and anyone thrown into it was unlikely to survive. The officials knew that this threat would be enough to deter most people, but they also knew that Daniel's faith was strong. They were counting on it. King Darius, flattered and convinced by the officials, signed the decree. The law was now in effect, and the trap was set. The officials watched and waited, knowing that it was only a matter of time before Daniel would be caught in their snare. Daniel, unaware of the new law, continued his routine. He prayed to his God, as he always had. His faith was unshaken, and his devotion unwavering. The officials watched, ready to pounce the moment he broke the law. And so, the plot against Daniel was set in motion. The officials had laid their trap, and now they waited for their prey to fall into it. They were confident that their plan would succeed, and that Daniel's faith would be his undoing.
King Darius, unaware of their true motives, agreed. The officials had approached him with a seemingly innocent proposal. They suggested a law that would honor him, making it illegal for anyone to pray to any god or man other than the king for 30 days. Flattered by the idea of such reverence, King Darius signed the decree without hesitation, not realizing the trap being set for his loyal servant Daniel. The new law was declared with great fanfare. The officials, with smug satisfaction, announced the decree to the people, ensuring that everyone knew the consequences of disobedience. The penalty was severe. Anyone caught praying to any god or man other than King Darius would be thrown into the lion's den. The news spread quickly, and fear gripped the hearts of many. Daniel heard it, but he didn't change. Despite the ominous threat, Daniel remained steadfast. He was a man of unwavering faith, and his devotion to God was unshakable. He knew that his daily prayers were a vital part of his relationship with the Almighty, and no earthly decree could alter that. He knew what he had to do. Daniel understood the risks, but his commitment to his faith was stronger than his fear of the lion's den. He took a moment to reflect on his journey, his trust in God, and the countless times he had been delivered from peril. With a heart full of courage and conviction, he prepared to face the challenge ahead.
I must continue to pray to my God, as I always have. Daniel's voice was resolute as he spoke these words to himself. He knew that his faithfulness was a testament to his trust in God, and he would not waver, no matter the consequences.
He went home and prayed, just as he always had. 3 times a day, Daniel knelt in his room, facing Jerusalem, and lifted his prayers to heaven. His home, a place of solace and sanctuary, became a battleground of faith. The dimly lit room was filled with the light of his unwavering devotion. Just as he always had, the light streaming in through the window seemed to symbolize the divine presence that surrounded him. Daniel's prayers were not just words, they were a lifeline, a connection to the divine that gave him strength and peace. The jealous officials saw their plan working. They had been watching Daniel closely, knowing that his devotion to God would not falter. Their jealousy and hatred for him had driven them to this deceitful scheme, and now they saw their opportunity to bring him down. They rushed to Daniel's house. They found him praying. The officials, with a sense of triumph, barged into Daniel's home. There he was, on his knees, deep in prayer, just as they had anticipated. Their eyes gleamed with malice as they prepared to carry out their plan. They reported him to the king. With a sense of urgency and self-righteousness, the officials hurried to King Darius. They presented their case, reminding the king of the decree he had signed and the punishment that awaited anyone who disobeyed. The king, realizing the gravity of the situation, was filled with regret, but the law of the Medes and Persians could not be altered. The king was devastated. He liked Daniel. Daniel was not just an advisor, he was a trusted friend, a confidant. The king often sought his counsel on matters of great importance. Daniel's wisdom and integrity had earned him a special place in the king's heart. The thought of losing such a valuable and loyal advisor was unbearable for the king, but he had made a law. He couldn't break it. The law was clear and unyielding. It was a decree that could not be altered, not even by the king himself. The law had been manipulated by those who were envious of Daniel's favor with the king. They had tricked the king into signing it, knowing it would put Daniel in jeopardy. The king felt trapped by his own decree, a prisoner of his own making.
I have no choice. Daniel must be thrown into the lion's den. The king's voice trembled as he gave the order. His heart ached with every word. He knew the consequences of his command, and it tore him apart. The guards, though loyal, hesitated, sensing the king's anguish. But the law was the law, and they had to obey.
With a heavy heart, he ordered Daniel to be thrown into the lion's den. The scene was somber and filled with tension. The king watched as Daniel was led away. His heart heavy with sorrow, he could see the fear in Daniel's eyes, but also a glimmer of faith. Daniel did not resist. He accepted his fate with a calm demeanor, trusting in his God. The den was sealed shut with a large stone. The sound of the stone rolling into place echoed through the chamber, a final, resounding note of finality. The king's heart sank even further. He felt as if he had sealed his own fate along with Daniel's. The weight of the stone seemed to symbolize the burden of his guilt and regret. King Darius couldn't eat or sleep. He worried about Daniel. The night was long and torturous. The king paced back and forth in his chamber, his mind racing with thoughts of Daniel. He could not find peace. Every sound, every shadow seemed to remind him of the grave mistake he had made. He refused food and drink, consumed by his anxiety and guilt. He hoped against hope that Daniel's God would save him. In his desperation, the king turned to prayer. He looked up at the sky, his eyes filled with tears. He prayed fervently, asking for divine intervention. He had heard of Daniel's God, a God of miracles and wonders. He clung to the hope that this God would save Daniel from the lions. The king's faith, though new and uncertain, was his only solace in that dark night. As the sun rose, King Darius rushed to the den.
Daniel, Daniel, did your God save you?
He called out, his voice filled with worry. He listened intently.
My God sent his angel, and he shut the lions' mouths. They have not hurt me.
It was Daniel. He was alive and unharmed. King Darius was overjoyed. He ordered Daniel to be lifted from the den.
Then he commanded that the officials who had accused Daniel be thrown into the den along with their wives and children. They did not survive.
Darius then issued a new decree. He commanded everyone in his kingdom to revere and respect the God of Daniel. He recognized the power of Daniel's faith. Daniel's story is a testament to the power of unwavering faith. He faced a terrifying situation, Yet he never wavered in his belief in God. His faith was his shield. Even in the face of danger, he remained true to himself and his God. This act of courage had a profound impact on everyone around him.
Daniel's integrity shone brightly. He could have easily given up his prayer time. He could have saved himself. But he chose to stay true to his beliefs. His actions spoke louder than words. They showed the king and the kingdom the true meaning of faith and integrity.
Daniel's story still resonates today. We may not face lions, but we encounter our own challenges. We face pressure to compromise our values. We might be tempted to take the easy way out. It's in these moments that we need to remember Daniel. We all have our own lion's dens. They represent our fears, our doubts, and the challenges we face. But like Daniel, we can find strength in our faith. We can choose integrity. We can stand firm in our beliefs, even when it's difficult. Daniel's story teaches us that faith has the power to change hearts. It can inspire others. It can even soften the hearts of kings. And it can certainly give us the courage to face our own lions. Let us strive to live with the same unwavering faith as Daniel, knowing that even in the darkest of times, the light of hope and belief can never be extinguished.
Click like, share, comment, and subscribe. By liking, commenting, and sharing this word of faith, other people's lives will be blessed, and through you, their faith can be rekindled. God bless you as you share.